Before we continue with the rest of the video, we could use your help. Click that like button to help spread the word about Watchjojo, and also be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. 10 things that make no sense about the Venom movie. Despite poor reception from critics and low expectations all around, Venom is devouring box office sales. The newest Marvel film is even on track to smash the previous October weekend record with an estimated $80 million in sales. Everyone around the world seems to be completely absorbed by Venom, and the symbiote has been able to quickly invade and possess our minds. However, there were some scenes throughout the movie that broke us out of the alien parasite's trance and brought us back to reality. These scenes are those plot holes, oddities, and straight-up confusing devices that made us take a step back from the movie's story and caused us to question its plausibility. Even though superheroes and villains don't live in our universe, we'd like to think that they could. We want the people in the movie to act like they would in real life, and for the movie to essentially make sense in the real world. Therefore, when we catch these little nuances, it can break our concentration and cause us to get distracted from the film's underlying plot. Number 10. Why didn't Eddie just text the evidence to his old boss instead of scaling a building? We see Eddie doing everything it takes to get his old boss some evidence of the human trials at the Life Foundation. He even scales a building to leave his phone in his boss's office, but what was he thinking? Why didn't Eddie just text or email the images to his old boss? Did he forget how phones worked? Also, he ended up leaving his phone next to a note that said, "Do the right thing." How was his former boss supposed to know what that meant? Even if the phone didn't have a passcode on it, the boss wouldn't have known what he was supposed to be looking at on the phone. Number 9. What was Riot's plan? Riot planned on going home and returning with an army of symbiotes. However, he didn't have a plan to get back. The symbiotes were forcibly brought to Earth, so they didn't know the planet's coordinates or have a big enough vessel to bring them back. In fact, how did they even have a plan to invade Earth if it wasn't even their plan to be on the planet in the first place? Riot also told Drake he needed Venom before they could leave. However, if the plan was to come back to Earth, why not leave Venom and see him when they returned? Venom said he was a loser, so he clearly wasn't vital to the plans. Number 8. What happened to the yellow symbiote? Throughout the movie, we saw 4 different symbiotes. Venom was in the black symbiote and Riot was in the silver one. Then the blue symbiote was destroyed when Dr. Dora perished. So what happened to the yellow symbiote? Also, why didn't anyone know about Riot? A lot of people perished in Malaysia because of the symbiote, so why didn't Carlton Drake link those events to that of a symbiote? He also potentially knew there was a 4th one that got away and never went looking for it. Number 7. Venom's powers. When we're first introduced to Venom, he tells Eddie Brock not to open the door. He could sense that someone was going to knock on the door before it happened. So why wasn't Venom able to sense the drone approaching them in the alley, or the car that hit their motorcycle at the end of the car chase? Since Venom can't stand sounds over 60 Hz, it seems as though he has sensitive hearing and should have been able to hear the drones following him. Also, how does Venom know how to fight in a human body? He's never been to Earth and therefore wouldn't have ever possessed a body with butt-kicking skills. Number 6. Were the San Francisco police trained by the Gotham PD? There's a running gag in the DCU that the Gotham police are absolutely useless when it comes to stopping crime. However, the San Diego Police Department might give them a run for their money. During the entire scene when Drake's henchmen chase Eddie throughout the city, there isn't one cop around until the end. These cops also let the henchmen go at the end of the scene and don't seem to know how to apprehend criminals. For example, when the SWAT team corners Eddie in the news station, an officer yells "mask" to the squad to put on their gas masks. However, this also warns Eddie of their plans and gives him time to prepare. Number 5. Why didn't Carlton Drake's henchmen have a weapon to stun symbiotes? The Life Foundation knew a lot about symbiotes, so why didn't they create a weapon to stop or stun the alien creatures? When Carlton Drake's henchmen went after Eddie Brock in his apartment, they didn't seem to know anything about symbiotes or what Venom was capable of doing. However, they did know that symbiotes don't like sounds over 600 Hz. So why didn't anyone think to bring some music to stun Venom and get the symbiote back to the lab? It would have saved them a lot of headache and evil henchmen. Number 4. Why is Venom so emotional? For a villainous alien parasite, Venom seems to be very emotional without any real reason. Throughout the movie, he made Eddie apologize to Anne for betraying her trust and protected the kids playing video games in the apartment he crashed into. Venom also cried about being called a parasite and told Eddie that he wants to stay on Earth for him. The last one was particularly odd because there was nothing in the movie that made Venom want to stay on Earth. We never see him connect with humans, and we aren't given any evidence as to why he fell in love with the planet or Eddie. Number 3. How do the scientists get the symbiotes back in their container? The symbiote in the blue container made its way through many different people. At the beginning of the movie, we see it attack Carlton Drake's first volunteer, and then, later on, it reemerges from its container again to destroy Dr. Dora. However, how did Drake and his fellow scientists get the symbiote back inside its container? They wouldn't have been able to get close to the symbiote, let alone touch it, or else it would have possessed their body and potentially demolished every person it came into contact with. Number 2. Fire is everywhere, yet it doesn't hurt the symbiotes. Venom tells Eddie that symbiotes have 2 weaknesses: sounds over 600 Hz and fire. However, the symbiotes come into contact with fire in multiple scenes throughout the movie and didn't seem too fazed by it. At the beginning of the movie, Riot comes across fire when he eats the eel in Malaysia, but barely flinches when he sees the flames. The symbiotes also all survived an explosive crash onto Earth, and Venom walks through fiery explosions throughout many points in the movie. Lastly, Anne calls these weaknesses the symbiote's kryptonite. How does she know what kryptonite is? This is a Marvel movie. Number 1. How does Venom know Riot's plan but not know who Anne is? When Venom tells Eddie about Riot's plan to invade Earth, Eddie asks him how he knows all this. Venom simply responds by saying that he sees all and can see Eddie's memories. However, this explanation makes no sense because Riot's plans were never in Eddie's memories. Venom also never came into contact with Riot prior to this scene, so it feels a little random that he knew the symbiote's entire master plan. Also, if Venom was telling the truth, why did he have to ask Eddie who Anne was later on in the movie? Venom should have been able to access Eddie's memories and therefore would have known exactly who Anne was without having to ask.